Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. Heavy Hammer Bushcraft back again. I'm going to finish up part two of our tri-stick hopefully today. And I might have two more videos I want to shoot today. We'll see how the day goes. I got a lot of stuff going on today. But I brought, wow, I actually brought 5 knives out today. Um, just because I wanted to cover some other things, and I've got 4 notches left, and I'll probably just do an extra notch with one of them. So first up on my list, somebody mentioned BPS knives. There's a little baby BPS right there. That's going to be one of the ones. I've actually never done much with this knife. I took it out of the sheath, kind of played with it, carved a couple of notches with it, put it back in the sheath, and I meant to polish up the handle a little bit. The fit and finish is actually pretty good on it, but I just like it a little more smoothed out for my personal preference. But for the price of it, man, you can't beat it. These nice little leather sheaths, really good blades. You know, they hold an edge like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it's 1066 high carbon. Not my favorite steel, but it does hold an edge pretty well. Um, I brought, let's see, what order do I want to do this in? I brought my favorite. Oh, that sun is really bright behind me now. I brought my favorite, my Nessmuck. It's a Condor knife and tool Nessmuck. Um, I did buff the edges up on these because I have not used several of them in quite a while. But yeah, this is probably my all-time favorite knife for bushcraft. As you can see, I've got my ferro rod firmly attached to the sheath, which I did myself because they don't come that way. I've got um, probably everybody's beginner knife, the Moraniv. I believe this is a Moraniv Companion, carbon steel, made in Sweden, um, flat grind, just really wow, blindingly bright. Really good economical knife. I think I picked this one up on like an Amazon Prime Day for maybe $10. Um, Phenomenal little bushcraft knives though. Hidden rat tail tang, not my favorite, but very functional. Um, and I did spend probably another $12 and got myself actually that's a BPS sheath. That's a that's a BPS knife sheath that fits a Mora. I didn't even notice that was BPS. I've had that sheath forever. But yeah, I did spend a little extra on the sheath. Got me the leather sheath for the Mora. It does come with a Kydex, I believe, but I'm not real a big fan of it because it's not a secure clip as I like. So did that just for fits and shiggles. Um, just a little raven-headed Viking Norse high carbon steel knife, which I have not used to do any bushcraft stuff, so that'll be a new one. And I wanted to address knives like this, the big, the bulky, the hunter style knife. They do have a place, they do have a purpose, but we're going to do some notches with it, and we'll talk about it. So now let's see. We have done our pot hanger, we have done our square notch, we have done our belly notch or our round notch, however you want to call that one. I think next we're going to do, let's do the 7 notch, and let's do it with the BPS knife. As I said, this is a notch you'll use a lot. This is a really good, useful notch because it's tent stakes, it's all that kind of stuff. So let's adjust the camera here and see if we can't get this so where we're not blinded and you can actually see what I'm doing. Let's see if we can get a little closer here. All right. Now you would think I would probably just set up another camera, but that's far too much work. Now you remember our 7 notch? It's a straight in cut. Just eat in a little bit with your knife. Flip your stick around so you're not cutting towards yourself. Now I'm cutting right on a knot right there. It's a small one, but it still is. And just eat in. Obviously, you can tell this knife holds an edge really well. I just buffed it up on the strop this morning, and that was about all I had to do to it, really. One thing I will say about these notches, particularly the 7 notch and the pot hanger notch, is you can really easily go too shallow and think you've got a good enough notch to do what you're trying to do, and it still not provide the bite you're looking for, especially on like paracord or something like that. And if you're using heavier rope, even more so. So you want to come down just short of the heartwood. Heartwood is generally going to be about in the center of whatever you're cutting on. Now you can back cut the top a little bit. I don't really see much of a need to. As long as it's a good flat cut right there, you're pretty good. But to each their own. I'm not going to say there's a definitive right and wrong way, but there is a way. And that right there is your 7-notch. So for a tent stake, you get your paracord, wrap right around there, hold it in really nice. So you can use that for a pot hanger, but I prefer the lip on the pot hanger because it will keep it from slipping out and falling in your fire. So, yep. I probably should have grabbed my phone and checked all of these notches so that I made sure I was doing all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. We've already done the beaver chew. BPS back. All right, with that back. Let's go with the Mora. Let's do the Mora next. This is going to be kind of a. It actually has a name, and of course, I can't remember it. It's just the nature of the beast thing. Yeah, I've completely forgot what it's called, but it's like it would be like a loop knot or something, like a loop notch or something like that. So you could actually tie a piece of cordage through your stick. So we're just going to cut it in just like a square notch, just like the square notch we did up here. We're just going to cut it in a little bit on both sides, chew down into it. Like I said, this is something you would use if you wanted to run a string through something. If you had made a spoon or something like that, and you wanted to put like a lanyard loop on it, you would do this one. Now the difference between this and a square notch is that we're going to do this on both sides of the stick. So you can see his Mora works really good. This thing with a smaller knife, you end up with a lot better control. You don't need a 10 or 12-inch blade knife for most of this stuff. You see guys all the time out there with big, huge, heavy choppers, trying to do camp work with them. And well, I don't know. The last time I tried to fillet a fish, a big chopper wasn't the way to go. And if you're staying out, especially if you're staying out for a while, you're going to be prepping some game and you're going to be doing some stuff like that. So, keep that in mind, that perhaps that 10-inch blade, big, heavy chopper is not the best knife for you. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, that's the reason I brought that other big one out, is they have their place. But I figure anything I could use a chopper for, I can also use my axe for. Now see, we're just about down to the heartwood right there. So we're going to stop on that side. We're going to come over here on this side. Actually, we're going to clean that up just a little bit. A little uneven with it, not happy. It's like the Bob Ross method, there's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. There we go. That's better. All right, come over to the other side. Do the same thing on the other side. We're not going to go quite as deep. We're going to stop just short of the heartwood again. Just eat your way down into it. And always take your knife, keep your fingers out of the way. Just roll it right up against your stop cut. Eat down in. Now pay attention with this one, how deep you're cutting. Once in a while, stop, take a look. See where you're at. Dang, it's breezy out here today. I guess it's a good test for the new microphone. Yeah, we're all right there. We can go a little bit deeper though. I don't want to go too deep, but I do want to get down so where it's not too hard to drill the hole through this. Yeah, that ought to do. See, it tells you how many bad habits I have. I'm always tempted to not turn the stick around, but to turn the knife around. And I know you will be too, but don't do that. It's bad juju. You will wind up cutting yourself badly. So we're pretty close there. We're pretty close. See, that's what I'm talking about not to do. It's a little bit better to do it now that you've got the stop cut there, so that's what you hit. Because if you hit your finger that hard, guess what you've just done? You have just caused yourself a cut in the wilderness, it's going to be probably more difficult to treat than you would like. See the heartwood? A little white spot right there. I don't know if you can see that on camera. That's the heartwood. So we're going to stop right there. Pretty decent little notch, I think. I think I did all right. It's been a while since I've done one of these notches because this is not one you use a whole lot, but it is still good to know. All right. Now we're going to take our knife. I'm just going to put it into the wood like so and use it as a drill. Now, because I hit the heartwood on that one side, it's going to go in real easy. Just twist just like you would a drill. Blow it out, check your depth. Line yourself up on the other side and drill through. And take and just clean it up a little bit. A little bit like so. A little bit like so. And you can see that. There you go. Now, if you're going to make a rope ladder or anything like that, that's the kind of notch you'd want because you can run your rope through that hole and that gives you a good solid step. So something to keep in mind there. Now, all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we got the beaver chew. We're kind of going to end up doing another beaver chew on this one down here on the end. I'm going to use probably the big knife for that because it's a chunky cut and it's a better one to demonstrate this with. So this knife is, I believe, 11 inches overall, 6-inch blade, 5-inch handle. This was actually one I did actually have commissioned to be made. And this knife is shaving sharp. I promise it is. But you can tell, you watched me do these notches with the other knives, and you saw how good my control was. I could eat right in, didn't have many issues. This one's a whole lot more work to do that with. It's a lot more knife to control. You know, you would think because it's a bigger knife, it's heavier, it'll do all of these things better, but it won't because you don't have the fine control over it. Well, I said I was going to do a beaver chew, but I've kind of inadvertently decided to do this another way. It's a great part about doing hot takes, I guess, right? You can also tell because of how thick the spine is on this one, it's a little harder to get a good solid backstop or a stop cut going on. So yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not a fan. It has its place. It has its purpose, but this is not it. So we're going to switch up. We're going to go, I don't want to break out the Nessmuck just yet. Will, but not just yet. We're going to break out this guy. Now, the worst part about this knife, and you want to be careful about this in your own knife selection, is the size of the handle. Fit-wise, front to back, it's fine. I have dulled the back edge of the blade right there because, as you can see, it was sharp right to the end, and that's not good. But the thickness of your handle makes a lot of difference in control as well. Now, see, that knife right there is going to cause a wicked hot spot right against that knuckle, which can lead to a blister. And that's another thing you really don't want if you can avoid it. But you can still see that the smaller blade gives much more control for what I'm doing here. So now, the two knives that I really don't recommend using have been used. Let's use my favorite. That's the old Nessmuck here. This knife, because that big thick belly on it right there and that hump in the back, makes a hell of a skinner and just eats into wood wonderfully. This is kind of like a self-defeating beaver chew because I'm going all the way through the heartwood from one side, but I'm doing it intentionally just to show you this particular notch, because this particular notch, you need a little bit of wood past the heartwood on one side. I think I did it on the smaller one. Now you see, once I'm through the heartwood on that, like I'm through clearly all the way through the heartwood, the stick loses a whole lot of its rigidity. and you can't really use it for much of anything at that point. So we're just gonna chop away at it here. I'm gonna treat it like a stop cut right there. See, bad habits, I have them. I'm not above having bad habits. I have a pile of them. I'm gonna chew in from this side here just to get this broke off where I want it, like so. All right. I just want to clean that up. People carve this notch different ways. This is not a notch. I mean, it's not even realistically a notch, but it's not one that I have ever actually had to use. Got a nice little taper, right? And you take and you just cut in at an angle right above the heartwood. You don't want to go all the way to the heartwood because you want it to stop right before. And just kind of eat that little notch you just cut, eat it right out of there. Be very careful with that one. This stick is very wet because it did rain last night, so I'm having a little bit of difficulty with it. So we're going to thin it out just a tick more on the back here. And you got to take that into consideration too. The wetness and the moisture content of your wood will definitely affect your notches and how you carve things and how you cut things. All right. Now we got that little V cut in there in the tip. And I'm just going to slide the knife down and just deepen it up without actually like making a further notch. Okay, we got a nice notch right there. Now what you can use that for is for stripping roots of their bark if you're going to make natural cordage, such like that. Again, I have never personally used that notch. I am not quite the bushcrafter of Mors Kochanskis style. He did everything au naturel. So remember me telling you this is not the way you want to do it. This is not the way you want to do it. But here I am doing it anyways. So, yep, that is a tri-stick though. That is most everything on a tri-stick. And so you can use this one for stripping roots for natural cordage. This one's great for like a rope ladder, or if you want to put a lanyard in a spoon or something else. Your 7-notch for tent stakes. Excuse me, that was rather uncalled for. Belly notch, decent for stacking wood, such like that. Square notch, really good for trap work and such like that, also for stacking and building things if you do it on a larger scale with an axe. And your pot hanger notch here at the very tip for hanging your pot. So, and of course, your beaver chew, give you a spike for the other end of your tent stake. So, now that we've covered all of that, I feel like I've missed one, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to have to go back and double check. If I did, I'll do it in another video. But that's pretty much the basics of a tri-stick, and those are really all of the notches you're going to need on a regular basis. Those notches will cover, like I said, I haven't even used all of those very often, and I can honestly say the one I've never used. I don't make natural cordage very often, particularly from roots, but it can be done. It is a popular thing to do, so there is that. Yeah, that's about all I got for right now. I just wanted to finish that up, and we're running almost 20 minutes, so 40 minutes to do a tri-stick. I think I need to work on my times. Yeah, that's all I got. I am going to do another video covering a little bit of knife care and some knife sharpening, and then we will actually get out, I think, and I'm going to set up a camp, just an overnight bushcraft camp, just a very basic one for beginners, and that should be, depending on the weather, soon. Trademark, right? Anyways, that's all I got for today. Like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, all of that stuff. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the support y'all been giving me. Check out the Facebook page, the Instagram page, and all of that. And yeah, we'll see y'all in the bush.